Welcome back, everyone, to 1 Minute Recess, where we're here every week breaking down the news nationally and in Nevada so that you can understand it, if we even understand it at this point. Maria, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Maria Teresa, yeah, so here we are one more week with insane things to talk about. So you want to start with what people were talking about from our last videos on
Yeah,
the
comments,
interwebs?
questions, concerns. Let's go.
So we'll start. We have a couple. We'll start one in YouTube. Our friend Lorenzita Santos has a concern.
Lorenzita!
Hi, Lorenzita. Good to see you again this week, virtually. The concern she has is the same one we had. There are so many strange pro-ICE bots.
Yes.
As we talked at length last week about some of the weird bots we've been seeing, and that commented on the video from the week before that on just very weird, I think it was like they were supporting the treasonous or supporting going against the treasonous dereliction of duty that was the Biden-Harris administration. Sounded like it was translated from Russian.
Yeah, I'm wondering, because, there's been a lot of conversation about ICE spying on people through their Ring cameras, through AI, through social media, right? Spying on people, the government is always spying on us, like, let's be real.
Hi, NSA agents.
But Axios actually has a really good article on this, because I had seen some of this pop up, and I'm glad that Lorenzita brought it up. Because there's an Axios article that says bots fuel social media discourse about ICE in Minneapolis. And it's saying bots can warp public perception of fast-moving events as bad faith actors seek to inflame tensions by spreading misleading narratives. And honestly, I think there's keywords that Maria and I are talking about, that we're all talking about on the left, and it spreads like wildfire. But the other thing I will say, and this is something I saw a whole bunch during the Super Bowl, mis and disinformation, Maria, you've spent a whole lot of time in our previous lives on this, is prevalent on the right. It is prevalent on the left, but there are all these factors, like these bots stirring stuff up on the internet that's not real. Like, it's not reality. It's not what actual human beings are thinking. And it's trying to cause these tensions. But we also know that stuff will just spread like wildfire on the right, but it will also do the same on the left. There is disinformation on the left. And I saw this happen in real time during the Super Bowl, when everybody thought the little brown boy who Bad Bunny gave the Grammy to was Liam, the little boy who was picked up from ICE. And in that moment, I was like, I don't think that's right, because like his deportation processing has already been sped up by the Trump administration. Like, that would put him in harm's way, right? If they put him in something like that, I think that would have really triggered dipshit. And so even on the left, we have to be careful, because after that, NPR and others did articles that, like, that was not Liam. Like, stop spreading this misinformation, this disinformation. But you know better than anybody, like, these bots fuel it, but we see it on both sides. This is a problem in our world because of the way we consume information now.
Yeah. And, I think I remember seeing that too, another narrative that was happening, and it was happening like right after the Super Bowl ended. My mom got a lot of it, and it's these people, these Europeans, because who knows, who watched the Super Bowl but were concerned because what they wanted to see was an all-American game. And I'm like, what self-respecting European wants to watch an all-American game? I mean, sure,
Well,
you might want to
like our version of football.
Right. And so my mom actually got into it with some of them, and they were very weird. Like, they were answering very weirdly. They were constantly saying about how they wanted to all American. I'm like, no European in their right mind would just say all American constantly, even the most right winger, because it's just not a thing that a normal person would say.
Even the articles from the Super Bowl, you were seeing the bots in the chats, like, spreading like, wait, English is our national language. I'm like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
Literally, it's not. Literally, it's not a thing that's real.
No, it really isn't. And one of the fascinating things is that many people will say it's like you said, it happens on all sides, but many people will say, "Oh, the right wing disinformation happens to all sides." Anytime there's something happening, and the reason why it happens is because there's bad faith actors on all sides that just want something to happen, whatever that something is, and in order to do that, they need to create a narrative or create some kind of crisis or some kind of fight, whatever their goal is. And the only way to do that nowadays, sadly, because of how the algorithm works, is to have massive conversation around something, right? And massive hysteria around something. So that's why it's very important what happened in France that we talked about in that episode of the French looking into the manipulation of the algorithm on top of all the other heinous shit that happens on X, but especially that small thing, the manipulation of the algorithm as a cybercrime is so important because that's the reason why bot farms, and whether it's like automatic bots or people, literally people that in lots of places around the world get paid to just sit there with either lots of computers or lots of phones or both, and they're paid to just send comments, and do whatever and say whatever.
Well, and it's happening I was hearing when we were in Vietnam a couple of weeks ago, it's happening in Vietnam. That's one of the
Mm,
places I actually had to install a VPN on my phone and on my computer while we were traveling there because they have a huge problem with these bot farms and hacker farms where they're just going into your computer, into your networks and trying to mess with your stuff.
mhm,
Or they're trying to mess with these algorithms, right? And when you and I were in our former work, there was a huge conversation about Russian bots. And
mhm.
we make light of it now because like we know they're there and that's a real thing. It's not like if this is made up. There's plenty of proof out there that Russian bots are a real thing. And you can usually spot them because their spelling is heinous. But Russia has a vested interest in ensuring that Americans and people in the US especially, but all of America, as Bad Bunny has said, are not on good terms with each other
Mhm,
because when we're not good with each other, Russia wins. And that is a huge problem on the left. It's a huge problem on the right. And they're trying to not only divide the United States, but divide all of us. And there's a huge concerted effort to do that amongst political parties, amongst ideologies, races, and they've been doing that for years, trying to divide people.
yeah,
It's a real
they
thing.
Russia has constantly wanted so many places in the world to from Afghanistan to here for people to not be able to disagree with each other well, to do
Yeah.
it with violence if it comes to it.
I mean, that's the whole goal is so they can manipulate us and have more power. That's the
Yeah,
whole goal.
because they have an empire. They have not gotten rid of that "we are an empire" mindset.
So we'll put this Axios article in the chat about the bots specifically targeting what's happening in Minnesota with ICE. Thank you, Lauren Zeta, for not being a bot. For
Mm,
watching and for commenting on that because it's a real problem and it's
mhm,
funny that we see it even on our little podcast, but it's a huge problem with
mhm.
when you're consuming information, consuming news, scrolling, doom scrolling the internet. It is a huge problem and people need to get better about recognizing reality versus what the internet algorithms are feeding you.
Yeah. And before we go to TikTok, one of the things that I saw a while back is that Finland is, of course, Finland, because they live right next to Russia for a while. And I don't know if they're going to start doing it or they're trying to make it into some type of legislation to actually teach media literacy, specifically like social media literacy and just this idea of being able to tell what disinformation is and isn't. And Harvard has done lots of studies around like different things, like political things, K-pop scandals, and has been testing like if you educate people how to look out for these things, will they be able to, when you actually present the disinformation versus real information, will they be able to tell? And by and large, like that's the only way, through educating people. Like this is what the things are, this is what to look out for, and they're able to actually be critical thinkers.
Imagine that, Americans as critical thinkers.
Jesus. Green Day's like, no, our song is still valid in
I
2026.
was so happy they did that. We'll talk
Yeah,
about the Super Bowl in a little bit. It made my whole day.
yeah, it
God
was great.
bless. God bless Green Day.
In on TikTok, There was a comment, a question.
Oh,
We had mentioned in our last episode the good news of the Animal Foundation getting green-lighted to expand, which has been desperately needed. Rosa Pereira on TikTok, hi Rosa, asks, can neuter and spaying become legal because we have a lot of babies that can be adopted? And many people will say that's one of the reasons why there's overpopulation.
yeah, I'm pretty hang on. This good question. Let me see. I should know this, but I don't. I'm pretty sure spay and neuter is required in Clark County.
I think so, because I know I had to do that to Chulo, to my dog.
Well, for sure it's required to adopt. You have
Right.
to spay or neuter before you can adopt. We had so Wednesday when we just adopted her, we adopted her not spay, or we fostered her not spayed
Mm.
because they thought she had a heart murmur, and so we had to get the heart murmur checked before
Mm-hmm.
she could be spayed because they didn't want to put her under if she had a heart murmur. So we got her to this specialist. Animal Foundation couldn't afford it, so we took her to the specialist, got her heart checked, and then we did the spay with our vet because we
Mm.
didn't want the Animal Foundation wasting their money. Like, we could afford it, we were gonna do it. Hang on. I think it's county by county, pretty sure. Not now. Yes. So the answer is yes. Clark County has a mandatory spay and neuter law requiring dogs and cats, and sometimes rabbits and ferrets, over 4 months old to be sterilized, with fines for noncompliance, though exceptions exist for medical reasons. So, like Eleanor, our old dog, she could not be spayed because she was so sick.
Right.
But obviously, we're not breeding her because we're not dumb. And our 2 male dogs obviously were fixed before we got her. It's interesting though that they say by 4 months of age. That's not exactly like what happens. It's really whenever people get them, you get them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, you have to it is mandatory in Clark County, Nevada for dogs and cats. So yeah, so fun fact. Now, you also need to have proof of a current I'm on the county website now. We'll put this up so that people can see. And again, I believe it varies county by county. If you're asking in other parts of the state, you should look at your county requirements because every county
Mm-hmm.
has different requirements. Some counties actually have requirements where you register your animals. So, and I believe in the city of Las Vegas, you have to register your animals. If you live in unincorporated Clark County like we do, you don't have to register them. So, that's something it's funny, I was just talking with our friend Rebecca Goff. That's something that I think Clark County needs to do is like have a registry of animals because it also helps with returning animals to their owners if they get lost and things like that. So, you also need to there's a requirement now to microchip your animals so that if they're lost, they can be returned to their owners.
Mm-hmm.
Fun
Yep.
facts. Yes, all your dogs should be spayed and neutered. My tortoises are spayed and neutered because we had a problem in our backyard because we thought they were both boys. So took care of
Ooh.
those problems and got them spayed and neutered. So be a responsible pet owner. Get your dog spayed and neutered. Cats,
Yep.
tortoises.
So those are the highlighted comments.
Guys, thank you all for watching and commenting and questions. We love that. Give us
Yeah.
more. Quiz
Yeah.
us. Tell us what you want to hear. It's great.
Absolutely. And with that, what's happening locally, Annette?
God. Did we talk about this last week? I don't think we did. Before we go into the other dumbass shit that's on our list, did we talk about the school board trustee that went to the East Las Vegas Dems meeting and blew
No.
up Assembly Member Ruben De Silva? Did we talk about this shit? Because
No, we did not. No, we did not.
we're going to talk about that before we get into this nonsense with other education organizations. Can we talk about that for a minute? Because that's some hot ass garbage. Did you see the video?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so what's her name? What's that garbage ash trustee's name?
Lorena?
Lorena
No.
what? What's her last name?
I think she changed her last name because I
Asshole.
didn't. Yeah, I didn't recognize. I'd recognized her from having to have heard her during
Let me pull up this article.
legislature, but I think she changed her last name.
Okay, so let's give the backstory for everybody. Moms for Liberty is a trash organization.
Mm-hmm.
They are a right-wing, batshit organization of women and men, potentially, I don't fucking know, who make it a mission to make people's lives miserable over dumb shit. So in the fall, these assholes who now have seats on the board of trustees for the Clark County School District, they have 2 of these assholes who are on the board. And yes, I'm calling them assholes because that's what they are. Come for me, please. So they go, and there were 2 educators after the Charlie Kirk assassination who voiced their opinions on the internet. We did a whole episode on this. You can go back and watch. And our thoughts and comments on it were, sure, maybe we don't agree with what the educator said, but they have a First Amendment right to say whatever the fuck they want because it wasn't during school time and it was on their own personal social media accounts. Fast forward, the school district still, to this day, Maria, has not put these educators back in the classroom.
What?
Crazy town. These educators are still on leave and not allowed back into the classroom. Crazy town. So we're paying educators and they're not in the classroom. All because these Moms for Liberty assholes made a big stink about their beloved Charlie Kirk and what these teachers said on their own personal time with their own freedom of speech.
Snowflakes.
Now, this trustee is supposed to abide by all these rules and, regulations and the fact that there's a code of conduct and you're not supposed to be bullying people, but that rules don't apply apparently to Moms for Liberty. It only applies to these educators. Fast forward, we're in the Lord year of 2026. And our friend, Assemblyman Ruben De Silva, is an educator at Rancho High School and also serves as a member of the Nevada Assembly. He does both jobs incredibly well. Great person, great educator, one of the people that I would go to bat for every fucking time. He does the right thing every time. He's great with his young people. He's a government teacher, so he supported the young people's right to protest ICE during the recent student walkouts at these schools. And as an educator, specifically a high school educator who is educating kids about the government, you should want educators educating your kids about their right to protest. That is the whole thing we're supposed to be doing here, is educating kids about their rights. And those kids, I'm proud of them. They should be going out and practicing their First Amendment rights, right? So Moms for Liberty assholes come after him and say to him, he is using his seat as an assemblyman to essentially brainwash these kids, and that he is pushing, this is the quote from the Channel 3 article on this nonsense, is pushing a political agenda onto students by encouraging participation in recent student-led anti-ICE protests across Las Vegas Valley. The fuck?
No. Those children are protesting because they are seeing with their own eyes what is happening.
And have thoughts and feelings and souls. Maybe these Moms for Liberty assholes should try and find some. So Lorena, this trustee, shows up at the East Las Vegas Dems meeting and starts screaming. We will find the video. We will post the video. Screaming like a banshee at Ruben while he's at a Dem meeting. It's a private meeting for Dems. There's other elected officials there and bullying him at a meeting. So in what world does she have whatever right she has, but he doesn't have those same rights? What?
Right. It goes both ways or it goes no ways.
Literally goes both ways.
Yeah. Yeah. That's horrifying.
Crazy town. CCSD continues to be crazy town.
Yeah. 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 And if people are like, how did we get here? We got here because people voted her in.
And didn't do their research.
Exactly. Speaking of disinformation, just yelling it out loud now.
Are we really going to continue having these arguments? Is this really the arguments we want to have in 2026 as to whether or not somebody has the right to protest? Meanwhile, our government's like, oh yeah, we're going to go arm the protesters in Iran. But here we're killing protesters. We're hurting protesters. We're harming children for speaking out. We're harming educators for having opinions and teaching kids about protests. Are you insane? Yeah, literally. This continues. The ICE stuff hasn't, just because you're not hearing about it, the ICE stuff hasn't stopped in Minneapolis, friends. Just know that. It's still bad there.
Yeah. Sorry. I don't know if I'm getting breaking news or something.
From the Queen?
Yeah.
Is she talking shit?
When 2/3 of voters, including conservatives, draw the line, extremism hits its ceiling. Oh. Oh. The right,
is the
far right.
Listening to us?
Apparently, because we got news from Portugal. The far right in Portugal lost elections. And there's a Pam Bondi I
No,
don't know if it's
no.
her real page.
Ábrele y verás que es ella.
No, porque no está. Sí, we're doing fact checking in real time. No tiene su. Espérate. No es ella. Porque Facebook tiene, cuando es verificado o página de gobierno, le tienen un checkmark. Y eso no lo tiene. Y tiene pocos seguidores. See, I just did
Por
a.
eso, porque
Literally,
ella
you were
es
just
bien
fact
privada.
checking in real time.
She goes, look, Pam Bondi is in the comments section. I'm like, that's not her.
That's not the real Pam Bondi.
It's a page purporting to be her
Yeah.
saying Attorney General
And
of
this
the
is why
United
they do it.
States.
This
Yeah.
is why that is
Ella
a
bien
bot
poquito,
doing
es bien
exactly what we
privada.
were talking about.
No es de ella, mami, es un bot. It's a bot. But see, even my mom, who's a smart person, is
Who's
like,
educated.
says she's the attorney. But see, this is why it's so why disinformation is so. It's actually really hard to cipher through it.
It's
Like
crazy.
you actually have to think about, and not just think, but you have to go back. You have to do research.
Yeah. I mean, there's been times where it's gotten me.
Yeah.
You gotta
absolutely.
make sure your sources are correct.
Yeah. 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 It's like when you were writing papers, remember? Like we had to actually write
When we
papers.
actually had to write papers and
Yeah.
source our shit. Yeah.
And you had to have two references and you had to put the reference in. Now you're like, that's why they wanted us to do that shit.
That was before AI.
Yeah. Back when we had blue books, which now the kids are getting introduced to those. Have fun. But
Amazing. What a time to be alive. All right. Well, let's talk about your favorite subject because speaking of the Clark County School
Anyway.
District, there was some shit that went down that you and I got wind of on the internet over the weekend. One of my friends who's a teacher sent it to me. It was in one of the teacher pages. Talk to us about the messages we found on the internet regarding the sort of pseudo teachers union, CCEA, the Clark County Education Association, and some of the drama, given the history of this, Maria, since you worked for NSEA, and what has happened leading up to this, and now what is happening apparently in the comments. Because I did some verification over the weekend and today, and there are rumors out there that this is like actually spinning up. So give the historical context, Maria.
yeah. So to start where the action is at, if people are like, who the hell are these people? What is this? The Clark County Education Association is going through a lot of changes and turmoil. Now we'll backtrack to the before times. By the before times, I mean when I was sort of in the intimately involved. In my previous era, worked for the Nevada State Education Association. You can see it, it's on my LinkedIn. And I was there for quite a bit. And even then, there were some serious issues happening all across the state, but there was a lot of heinous issues going around internally at what we just mentioned, CCA, Clark County Education Association. Now, for those that are like, why are they calling it the pseudo union? What do you mean Nevada State Education Association? Like pretty much all unions, because we're a big country and unions in the United States usually have, and all over the world, have a very similar structure. Like any kind of governing body, they have a national, which in the US and for this education association is the National Education Association. And then they have state organizations, state affiliates, kind of like a state government. And then below that, you have a division of however many districts they have or however many ways the membership of the state divides things up. Here in Nevada, we usually have in the large districts, school district, and in those large districts, if it's large enough, you have your teachers because they have different needs, and then you have your support staff. So everybody that works at the school that's not a teacher have their own union, and then in your smaller places, they're usually all together, but somehow they divide that up because they're drastically different needs among the staff for education. So that's why we say Nevada State Education Association, Clark County, because the state teachers union is differently than CCA. They only represent Clark County. Now, a while back, I forget the year that he was brought in, the Clark County Education Association brought in someone to be the executive director of their local. His name is John Villardita. He's still there. And before we get into it, he is a known union buster. Previously, he previously to coming to Nevada, he was actually taken to court. You can Google his name. There was some money situations of things being stolen. There was actual union busting of the staff within the union. And strangely enough, all of that started happening at CCA. And many people warned each other, right? Union members that did their research and were like, this guy's dangerous. And we know a lot of those people that did that warning of, hey, yeah, he ended up doing the same thing. I remember when I was at NSCA being told that there would be staff at the, these educators have a health insurance. They have a trust where they're supposed to get health insurance. And because it is a health insurance provider, you're supposed to have staff that's supposed to help. The staff there used to be union members so that they could have all the things that you're supposed to have at a union, like breaks and days off, etc., not working long hours. This man, John Velardita, started essentially removing people and removing the positions that were protected by the union, and just started cleaning house there, then within the union. And we would also hear of people that were like staying strong and staying in there, that they weren't getting bathroom breaks. They weren't getting lunch breaks. They were supposed to work long hours. They were getting expectations that weren't part of their contract. And these are all signs of union busting, right? Like removing different things. And the worst part is that when they were being brought up, those people would get fired. Usually in respectable organizations, when you bring up concerns, you don't immediately fire those people, right? You do some sort of due process, whether you have a union or not. The worst part about this is that this is a union that is supposed to be representing teachers, but to its own staff. It started firing. It started changing expectations. It started removing these organizations, these jobs within the organization that were protected by the union, and then making all of those jobs director level jobs so that those people couldn't even bargain and ask to have a union because you are a decision maker, you're salaried, all of these excuses. All of this at the behest of that man, John Velardita. So for many years, people have been telling the members of CCEA, especially that weren't intimately aware of all these things, this man is dangerous and you all need to wake up and deal with him. And there was usually a division of the membership of, yeah, we know he's a union buster. I've heard, allegedly. And like me, have been hearing, experiencing. I've met the guy. He was in the office when I worked there a few times. And he is someone, look, when I worked retail for years and years and years, one of the things that you pick up in the service industry when you have a real job, you pick up bullshit, especially in retail. You're like, you actually can sniff out. And I'm speaking about retail. I'm not speaking of a particular person. You can usually tell if the person in your store is like if they're a secret shopper, if they're trying to take something, because they usually have tells, right?
You can tell if
And
somebody's a shyster.
yeah, you can tell if like they're covering for their friend that they walked in and that friend is taking the cool headphones. I used to work at Radio Shack. And that happened a lot. And I instantly got a bad vibe from him. I got that bad vibe of this man is not, especially because there would be times where I was just doing my job and someone would say, hey, can you tell the CCA president this? And I was being told this because the CCA president was in the room. She was in the room. And so I would go find her and I would go tell. And I got this immediate sensation of, well, why aren't you addressing me? I'm the real boss of CCEA. And it's like, no, you're not the president, though. You're the executive director. The president is your boss. She's the member that represents the organization.
All of the staff works in support of the members. That's how a union is supposed to work.
Right. And I immediately got this, I'm the boss. And what was fascinating is in that moment, he was seated at the head of the table and she was seated at like the right next to him, but he was the one at the head of the table. And so those little things just validated the type of person he is.
Let's fast forward because now there's a division between NSCA and CCA, right?
Yep.
Talked a little bit about that. For years, you and I have thought at some point they've got to see this. Like at some point they've got to see there's a problem, right? And we know historically, allegedly, there have been other people who were on the board who you and I know, who have been thrown under the bus, who have been manipulated, who have been told things to do things and then thrown under the bus. Lots of names I can think of. And they're now no longer there. Right.
Right.
And so there's always this constant rotation of people
Mm.
taking up for CCA. So over the weekend, I got text messages from a supporting CCSD teachers and staff moderated Facebook page that there was some shit going down at CCEA. So we're just here for answers. That's all. I don't know what's going on over there. Neither does Maria. But for CCEA members, this post can't be deleted here. Urgent notice due to union leadership change. This person should also step down in solidarity because no one wants Regina George as the acting president. That was the first message. And it goes on to say, if you're asking yourself why we lost a president, 2 vice presidents, and multiple executive board members over the last year, look no further. It's because this person and the head of CCEA, this is what this purports, now can't do anything to change the positions, but we can take out his lackeys and put a board in place to keep him in check.
Mm-hmm.
So when the election comes, make sure you do not vote for this person, which would be easy considering no one's ever voted for them before. They've never actually had to run. It was never actually voted on to the E-board to begin with, just appointed and ran unopposed. But she is directly related to all of the people leaving their position through gossip, hate, and rumors. When it comes time to get them out of CCA and anyone they endorse. This has been cross-posted because I'm sure it will get flagged in the CCEA group and taken down by the new powers that be, because that's often what they do is edit stuff out. Then there's another message that we received over the weekend that says, what is going on at CCEA? Their president just quit. Everything going on is so weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent it to a couple of my teacher friends because I'm like, what and a couple reporters because you know me. And I was like, what is going on over there? So what do you think's going on, Maria?
What I think is going on,
People finally seeing the light?
I think so. And you can tell because when a union member, especially, one that has run through the various positions within their union, has taken leadership, has gone, like, it takes a lot to be a union member because you're doing, and to be an actively involved union member that gets elected to things because you're doing your job, your day job, and then saying, I'm going to go to the meetings. I'm going to learn what it's like to be an active member. I'm going to go to the conventions. I'm going to go to vote. Like, it's a process. When you get to the point where you can be in leadership and then you just leave before your term is up, and then you have other people leave, and then you have other people leave, and you have people that don't run for re-election, it means there's something afoot here. And it usually means to me that they're realizing they're not in control. Like, it's not actually working how it's supposed to work. That they, as the e-board, aren't actually able to move things along how they're supposed to be moved along because the power is in practice not where it needs to be. And what is happening is I think people are finally realizing what that is. Like, they're seeing this happen and they're actually talking to each other and saying, that's not right. That doesn't smell right. Like, we're actually supposed to have a stable board, especially when you're supposed to go into contract negotiations and things like that, because that's who negotiates your contract. Is your board. You have staff that helps you with the administrative things. You have the lawyers for the union that help you understand legally what things mean. But the people that actually vote for if we're going to move one way or another before they go to the membership is that board. That's why they're there. And if you're losing people, you're losing that knowledge. So it's really dangerous. And so I think this is something that should have happened a long time ago. I'm not a shoulda, coulda, woulda person, but it should have happened a long time ago. I think there were many people within CCEA staff that used to work at CCEA a long time ago that were trying to get members to see what was happening as that man was literally going in and cleaning house. And they were saying, I'm leaving because I'm getting fired for no cause. And I don't have a union anymore within my union. And so I think that's what's happening. I think people are finally realizing who is the problem.
Well, if any of you got the tea out there, Maria and I want it. So put it in the chat. I want to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So all you educators out there, all you teachers, let us know. If you know what's going on, put it in the chat.
Yeah.
We want to know.
Yeah.
This is why we can't have nice things. our own people, our own organizations can't get their shit together. All right. Speaking of getting shit together, Mark Amodei, everyone. Congressman Mark Amodei is leaving the United States Congress. Surprised. I talked to several people over the weekend who did not know this was coming, who are also in the delegation with him. People in business, people in the community who are close to him, had no idea this was coming on a Friday. So he puts out a press release and says, FYI, I ain't coming back. I ain't running again. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm ad-libbing here, but that's not. He's just like, I'm not coming back. I'm done. So this is a very interesting seat. So for those who don't know the history of this, Nevada was redistricted. This was a couple cycles ago of redistricting after the census, where we got a new congressional district, which was Congressional District 4. Before, we only had 3 congressional districts. It's all based on population, right? Missouri Compromise. So each state has a certain number of representatives that go to Congress. Every state has 2 senators. So that's how it works federally, friends. So we have 4 members of the congressional delegation and House of Representatives. Mark Amodei represents Jesus Christ, CD2, Congressional District 2, which is the majority of northern Nevada. So Washoe County, a lot of the rural counties, right? Things like that. It was drawn as a compromise. So CD1, which is Congresswoman Dina Titus's district, that is a safe D district. This one was supposed to be a mostly safe Republican district. And then you have CD3, which is kind of the surroundings of Clark County down here in Vegas. And then you have CD4, which is kind of the other side, like North Las Vegas side, where Horsford is. And his also encompasses some of the rurals, right? During redistricting in 2020 and then 2021, some of that was divided up. So Dina lost a bunch of the Latino areas and some of the Asian population, which was a huge problem. Horsford got some of it. Susie got some of it to try and make their races a little bit easier. But Amodei's has remained largely the same. So long story short, it's very hard to be a Democrat and run in CD2. But this article from the Nevada Current says, will this get easier now? So the question becomes, even people like Jill Derby, who are institutions in northern Nevada, been there forever, have lost. Kate Marshall lost in this district. So in a year where potentially Trump drags down the Republican ticket, I think that's some of what Amodei was feeling, right? And he also didn't want to be continuing to carry Trump's water, if I had to guess. Will it make it easier if Republican turnout is lower for a Democrat to win? Now, do we even have Democrats to win in that district? There are 5 of them running, but can any of them muster what they need to actually get over the finish line? That's another question. And now the question becomes, who is the nominee who runs? So over the weekend, there were several names floated. I'll get your reaction to them and then tell you if they're actually running or not. The first name who was floated is Assemblyman Ira Hansen. Maria, thoughts?
Oh my God.
He did come out today and said he wasn't going to do it. But there were like a 2-day span there where I was like, maybe I want to go to Congress. And I was like, oh, sweet baby Jesus.
Oof. In a normal world, pre Donald Trump being able to get elected, I would say, oh my God, some of the things that he has said.
Oh yeah, it'll come back to hurt him. I don't think so. It actually would get him elected.
Yeah, people would be like, hell yeah.
Yeah, all the racists out there would love that shit.
Yeah. And things he has said publicly on the Senate floor.
Not good. Okay, next one. Danny Tarkanian.
Not another race with Danny Tarkanian. He's lost all across the state. Now we're going to make him lose up there?
We haven't heard from him, so he's still in the chat.
Okay.
He already moved to northern Nevada to run because that was the only place he could win. So there's the potential he does it again. Okay, next name. James Settlemeyer.
Interesting,
right?
Yeah.
There were things that we could sometimes, rarely, but sometimes agree with him on. He was an assembly member. He was a senator up in northern Nevada. Yeah. I think he's enjoying his new gig a little too much, it sounds like. So I don't think he's going to do it, but maybe. Next name that was floated. Adam Laxalt.
Are we really gonna draw out the Laxalt family to once again come out and say he's terrible?
Apparently, he's out of the mix already. He said he doesn't want to do it. Who God only knows, though. You never know with Adam Laxalt.
Boy.
Next name that has been floated, Jill Tolles. Now, that one doesn't I don't feel repulsed by it.
No. See, she's the
like a normal Republican.
Yeah, she's the Republican you think about when you're like, that's a good Republican. Like
a decent human being, right?
Yeah, like if I was in her district, I would look at what she has to say. Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah, she doesn't repulse me.
Just because I'm not a registered Republican wouldn't make me automatically not vote for her. She's actually not a terrible person.
Especially in a district where maybe a Democrat can't win, right? Would it be bad to have somebody normal run?
Right. Especially
the
when
other name that was floated that I heard was this new assemblyman, Blaine Osborne. Now, Blaine worked at the county hospital in his rural community, understands rural health care, purportedly doesn't hate poor people because he worked on Medicaid.
That's amazing. Seriously.
Crazy times, right? Could be an interesting option coming from a rural area. Just got appointed to the Nevada Assembly.
Yeah.
So there are some non-heinous options. The other one that I've been told is a possibility, and I can't wait to see your face to see if you even remember him, is a lobbyist by the name of Paul Enos.
The truck guy? I'm sorry to say the truck guy, but he was the trucking association lobbyist.
Yes, the truck guy. Who at one point Dina kicked out of his office.
Right. That is, I'm sorry, but all of those names put together is the most Northern Nevada list of names I've ever heard.
I literally wore this shirt for this conversation.
That is the most Northern Nevada thing.
And Northern Nevada shit, right?
I think to that, Mark Amodei would say picon. If people don't know whether you're in Nevada or not, picon is the official drink of Nevada. And at a speech, he made reference to that for the Mark Amodei himself.
Mark Amodei also has a history of coming to the Nevada legislature because all these congressional members come to the Nevada legislature when we're in session and have to do a speech. And his is always the shortest and usually kind of smart alecky.
Yeah.
Because that's just his vibe.
Yeah.
I did tell somebody recently I was hoping that Mark Amodei would have a town hall. It was Greg Baylor. And he's like, why? So you could do what you did to him and Dean Heller again when your staff drove up? I was like, oh, you know about that?
Hey, but you know what? To that I say, Mr. Baylor, Mark Amodei actually took it well. Dean Heller.
He took it like a champ, honestly. It was Dean Heller who fucking spazzed
He was the one that was like,
I don't know.
And this is,
And they're the ones who made the mistake of saying, who drove the farthest to get here?
And half the room went up. But you know what happened for people that weren't there literally in line with us that Mark Amodei did that actually made me respect him is, I don't know if you remember this, when we were standing in line, because usually what happens at these town halls is there's a line to ask questions. And so the line was forming before they had come out because there was a lot of people that made it. And so
they
the staff
never have town halls.
Right. And so the staffer said, hey, can people line up? And so people started lining up. And before the event started, Mark Amodei himself walked out before the event started and started shaking everyone's hand. And I will tell you, there were lots of people with shirts that were Planned Parenthood shirts, that were I'm a Democrat shirts, and he shook those hands especially, and he actually stopped to talk to some of those people and said, and a lot of them would say, and I think you were one of them, said, I drove up 8 hours to come talk to you and the senator. And he even said, well, thank you so much for driving up. Heller did not do that.
Listen, here's what I'll say about this. Mark Amodei, I don't agree with pretty much anything Mark Amodei does. Most of it, especially his public lands bullshit, because it is truly bullshit. And if you want to look at Mark Amodei's record on public lands, go ahead and Google that because it's fascinating to see. It is the antithesis of what we should be doing here in Nevada on public lands.
Yep.
But overall, I don't agree with much, but like when he was in public spaces, he wasn't heinous. I'll say that.
Yep.
That's the nicest thing I can say about Mark Amodei. I was not sad to see him go. I will say that.
It is time for new blood, whether it's Republican or something else.
And in recent years, he has become useless.
Yeah.
And carried the Trump agenda. fully. Anyways, all right. Well, good riddance to bad rubbish. Thanks, Mark Amodei. Let's see what Republican we get. God willing.
Mhm.
All right. Last part of the local lowdown. Let's end with good news. On a high note, right, Maria?
Yeah.
Las Vegas ended 2025 with one of the highest jobless rates in the country. Great job, Donald Trump. Great job.
Donald Trump.
Killing it with the economy. What the president of the economy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Killing
One of the highest in the country. Not the state of Nevada. The country.
Las Vegas
We
ended
are up there.
2025 with one of the highest jobless. This is in the Review Journal. We'll put the link in the chat. Las Vegas ended 2025 with one of the highest jobless rates in the nation for big metro areas amid a slump in tourism to America's casino capital and broader economic jitters. So Americans aren't traveling because they don't have any money, and people from out of the country don't want to come here because it's a fascist hellscape. I'll sum up what they're saying.
Basically, no one wants to come here, and so people don't have jobs.
Great job, Donald Trump. Great job, Republicans. Really killing it with the economy.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think I said it to you last week. It'll be interesting to see if things turn around for like Lunar New Year, because that'll be a really interesting note because it's heavily supported, celebrated in Las Vegas by Asian cultures. That's why Bellagio and all the hotels go all out for Lunar New Year, because it's a huge travel industry that comes here and celebrates Lunar New Year. And so it'll be interesting to see what that does and if people are coming from out of the country.
My eyes twitch just thinking about that.
Yeah. Great job, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
All right. WTF is happening in the world, Maria? It's been another great week. Been another stellar week in the USA.
A lot of smart takes about things that happened over the weekend.
So it is always interesting to me, and we'll start by saying this, like when pop culture meets politics, or when sports meets politics. Because often people will say to us, well, I'm not that into politics, or politics doesn't impact me, or, I'm just not that political. Okay, well, it impacts literally everything in your life. So
Literally.
just FYI, it literally impacts everything in your life, down to like the toothbrush you use. So this weekend, two things occurred one of which we don't even have on here, but two things occurred. Number one, the Olympics in Milan, which we talked about last week, where,
Right.
the Italians were like, no, do not fucking send ice here, you idiots. Please. No, thank you. And they have had United States athletes now speaking out against what's happening in the United States, using their platform to raise awareness about issues, which we should, I love these motherfuckers on the internet. Just shut up and play your sport. No, that's not how that works. Just like people shouldn't shut up and like sing. Billie Eilish gets to talk about ice. She should do that. So this weekend, Olympics start. JD Vance gets booed. I was very excited for this. Like, God bless the Italians for booing him. My culture holding it down with those really high-pitched whistles and boos. Thank you, Italians. And then, fast forward, we have the Super Bowl, also known as Bad Bunny Bowl in my household. So there were two epic things that occurred during the Bad Bunny Bowl. Green Day, my favorite band on earth, played the opening because they are from the Bay Area. And I didn't know if they'd have the balls to actually fucking play the songs that they should play, but they played all the songs they should play. American Idiot, Holiday, Boulevard of Broken Dream. It was fucking fantastic, right?
Yep.
Didn't get crazy while they were singing on the Super Bowl stage, but in a pre-show, they went and did their normal thing about ice and all that jazz. It was fabulous. So very proud of that. And then we have Bad Bunny Bowl, where the halftime show is performed by Bad Bunny with a special appearance by many special guests, including our dear friend Pedro Pascal, Cardi B, Jessica Alba, a couple other wonderful celebrities, specifically Latino celebrities. And then, Lady Gaga makes an appearance as an ally, as somebody who loves Bad Bunny and sings. It was wonderful. There was a wedding. In the actual event itself, Bad Bunny has all these fabulous, like, actual Latino businesses that he's supporting, like real Latino businesses, those things, the visuals you saw, real Latino businesses that are Latino owned that he's supporting. There is one particular scene during Bad Bunny Bowl where he is on power lines.
Mhm.
And there are linemen and women who are up there as part of the visual with sparking power lines. And Bad Bunny gets on one of the power poles, right? So I am scrolling the internet because this is what I do. And our friend, Laura Loomer, batshit right-wing crazy woman, says the following. It's kind of ironic how Bad Bunny was dancing on an electrical post at the Super Bowl halftime show. Puerto Rico isn't exactly known for having reliable electricity. He could have highlighted the electrical crisis in Puerto Rico and done some good with his platform, but he chose degeneracy.
Because she's so fucking stupid.
So this dude, who I saw retweeted this, said, "You're this close to getting it, Laura. This close." So, Maria, can you talk about the significance of why he chose the images, the imagery he chose throughout, and specifically the power pole thing that Laura Loomer is too dense to understand what that significance was? Let me just say for all those motherfuckers out there who are like, he's saying in Spanish. I don't speak one fucking word of Spanish, okay?
He sang in Spanish in Santa Clara. Calm down,
I
everyone.
understood what the motherfucker was saying, and so did
Yeah.
Nick. Just through
Like-
the images.
There were Ukrainians that understood what he was saying.
You don't have to speak Spanish to understand, especially if you
Yeah.
know anything about Puerto Rico. It was a love letter to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Go forth, Maria.
And yeah, I agree. It was a love letter to Puerto Rico. Then it became a love letter to Latin America. A love
Latin
letter
America.
to the continent, which is all of America. I mean, poor Canada got included and they were so happy.
They were so bad. They were so happy.
Because, the United States is not America. It is of America. Because there were many other places that were America before
Yes,
America.
North and South America make up
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, exactly. Many people like to say, in the rest of the continent, you learn it's actually one continent with two regions because there was an artificial division that was created at one point in a place called Panama.
Borders aren't real, yada,
Yeah,
yada, yada. Politics
too.
got involved, yada, yada, yada.
So
The United States was fucking meddling as usual.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada.
And so that specific portion where Laura Loomer had the dumbest take of all time, and that's saying something for her, the meaning of it, especially for people that have never been to Puerto Rico and maybe haven't learned any of this, which is fair. It's fine to not know because we don't get taught anything in this country. And I actually want to backtrack to the moment right before, which is the beginning of that song. The beginning of that song, and I encourage everyone to listen to the whole album, but if you have to pick one, they're all amazing. But this one is probably the hardest for him to write and probably the hardest for him to perform, and you can tell, because this is the painful part. It is the song that Ricky Martin started singing. And I think there's a special reason why he chose Ricky Martin to sing it, because it talks about what the United States has done to Puerto Rico. And I'm probably going to start crying. The United States, up until literally, now, has probably done the most harm you can think of to Puerto Rico. It's sterilized its people. The song says it all. And the song is Lo que le pasó a Hawaii. And my mom is saying, yeah. My mom and I we were dancing the whole time, and then that actually made us cry. Because that song he goes through and lists all the things that happened to Hawaii, or Hawaii, how it should be said. And he says, I don't want those things to be done to you, Puerto Rico. And they are being done, like the power grid not being actually taken care of. And the reason for that, if people don't understand, Puerto Rico is not a state. And I want to say, especially to the Democrats, that might immediately go, Puerto Rico needs to become a state. I want to say, we are not the ones that should decide that. The people that should decide that are the Puerto Ricans. And the reason why it is very hard for Puerto Ricans to decide that are because the United States has a lot to answer for. And because does the United States have the best interest of Puerto Rico in mind? No. And one of that is the grid has been terrible for a long time, but after Hurricane Maria, it got worse. And the United States, administration after administration, has had Puerto Rico as a commonwealth, which is basically a colony that gets nothing because it has no representation in Congress. The state government is
Poorly run.
Poorly run, because they have no incentive to actually be run correctly. And so I don't know what my mother is saying, but she's saying things. And this is something.
U.S.
Exactly, Mom. That is what that was about. He was actually, the reason why people are saying you're this close to getting it, it's because, Puerto Rico.
He actually is talking about that, you fucking idiot.
Every time I've been to Puerto Rico, we've had power go out in our entire hotel.
I was there for 2 weeks. 2 weeks for our honeymoon. There would be a storm, power would go out.
Like that. Yeah. And the reason for
and
that...
we weren't even in San Juan. We were out on the east side, right?
Yeah. And in San Juan, it goes out all the time. And the reason for that is because it is not a state. It is not able to get the infrastructure that so many other states are able to have.
To be honest, it's not like the United States is this shining example
we have
infrastructure. Look at the
states
state
that
of
have
fucking
nothing.
Texas when they had an ice storm and bozo dipshit Ted Cruz bounced out, right?
Yep.
Their whole fucking power grid went down.
Yeah. And
so who the fuck are we to sit here, number one, Laura Loomer, and judge anybody's fucking infrastructure, you dipshit?
Yeah.
But number two, it's the United States' fault that the infrastructure is so piss poor there because we refuse to, even though they pay fucking taxes, like all the rest of us, we refuse to reinvest money into them.
Yeah. No, the only investment that people want to make there is this beautiful neighborhood, and if people ever go to Puerto Rico, you should go there. It's called Cataño. It's on the other side of the San Juan Bay, and it is gorgeous. People will know it if you've been to the Bacardi plant, you've been to Cataño. But it is if you leave the ferry, you go to the right and you go to the Bacardi plant a few minutes away. But if you go to the left, you actually get to go to probably one of the most beautiful views of San Juan. You can see the whole fort. You can see the entry. You can see how that fort was so smartly made because you can see the bay and everything. Like, you can just get a sense of the history. There's developers that want to turn that into high rises and condominiums and beautiful things. And of course, Americans are going to come. Fucking Jake Paul is living in Puerto Rico, but doesn't want a Puerto Rican there. But he'll put a Puerto Rico flag on his boxers. But he only lives there so he can get a tax break. But he doesn't actually give a shit about Puerto Rico.
Even his own fucking brother, Logan Paul, called him out today. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Paul. Yeah, Logan Paul was like, bro, you
live in Puerto Rico.
You literally live there, you dummy. Literally, Logan Paul, his own brother, called him out for his shit today.
You know what? And I don't usually say this. Good on you, Logan Paul, because how dare you put on the Puerto Rican flag?
I couldn't believe he actually did it. And he was like, oh, wow. Jake Paul like, oh, wow, I didn't mean that. They're not really fake Americans. And I'm like, well, then what did you mean, fuckface?
What did you mean? He was probably given the Trump social media toolkit and he didn't think twice about it. That's what happened. And, and I'll add this because I'll be remiss as a person born in Mexico, because where we are used to be Mexico, everyone, and Latin American, if I didn't say this, the reason why there's a lot of resistance to just having any statehood or anything for Puerto Rico is actually what we're seeing in Venezuela. For a long, long time, both Spanish and Latin American people have known that the reason why the U.S. has wanted Cuba and has kept Puerto Rico and has recently been going to the Dominican Republic is in order to control Latin America and control the continent. Basically, it's in Project 2025.
Literally, Donald Trump said it out loud after what the fuck they did in Venezuela. They're like, oh, this is our continent now. No, bitch, it's not. No,
and many people will say, well, why? Well, it's because look at where all the flights to kidnap Maduro came from. They came from Puerto Rico. It's why the Puerto Rican airspace was closed for a whole day, because that's where the base is. And so that's why there is also this resistance to make it a state. And I know for a long time, especially Democrats, because Puerto Ricans tend to run Democratic, have been saying it needs to become a 50. If you learned anything from this Benito Bowl era and saga is thank you for your appreciation, but let Puerto Ricans decide.
And also,
Laura Loomer's dumb as a rock.
But also, even Donald Trump couldn't stay away from the Bad Bunny Bowl. He watched that instead of fucking the redneck meth lab of Turning Point USA.
boy.
and had something to say immediately because it triggered the fuck out of him because, together we are America and naming all of the places on the continent.
The girls dancing.
The girls dancing. I'm like, bitch, you're in the fucking Epstein files and you rape kids. Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
You literally rape children.
You are a
fucking
pedophile, my sir.
Predator.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Yep.
Ugh.
But yeah, best show ever of anything of all time.
It was so good. It was good.
Very
Kendrick
good.
Lamar's the year before. Fabulous. This one, fabulous. Continue down this road, NFL, and maybe I'll start watching you again.
Yeah.
They had an amazing black woman do the Black National Anthem before it started with this incredible outfit. Amazing. Then they had a gay woman
Brandy
do
Carlisle.
America the Beautiful. Fabulous. It was wonderfully done. More of that, please.
Yeah, that's
maybe
actually
I'll start
what we
watching
need.
football again.
Yeah, and the Seattle Seahawks won. I
mean, listen, if I got to be honest with you, I fucking hate both those teams. As a former football aficionado, you know I used to love football till the Colin Kaepernick shit on the exact same fucking field, by the way, which was not lost on me.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, I used to watch religiously. Denver Broncos are our team, and I fucking hate the Seahawks, and I really, really hate the Patriots. So I was glad that the Seahawks won because at least they're a West Coast team. So and fuck the Patriots and fuck Robert Kraft forever.
Yeah.
Skis.
And they're owned by a woman who so far has not donated to Trump.
Whatever. So, anyways, in LA next year should be Liddy. More of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So we end with Laura Loomer is dumb and Donald Trump's grandpappy was mad and pooped his pants again during the halftime show.
He's just mad his show is stupid.
I mean, truly. Why would you want to watch Kid Rock lip sync to anything?
Ugh.
Nick called him meth loaf today.
Meth loaf.
Not meatloaf, meth loaf.
I love that song.
I did like the meme. I don't know if you saw it. They were born the same year.
Right. Ricky Martin
versus the aging process of Ricky Martin versus Kid Rock.
Yeah. It's like Kid Rock is milk and Ricky Martin is fine wine.
So loved this meme. It said, Trump admitting to watching Bad Bunny and not Turning Point USA while trying to attack Bad Bunny is peak 2026. I was like, you couldn't stay away. We knew you couldn't stay away, bitch.
Yeah. No.
I also loved Pedro. God,
Pedro Pascal. Just,
he's such a gem.
He's the best.
He's just the best. Just the freaking best. So anyways, Bad Bunny Bowl did not disappoint. It was very good. Very good. Good job, Green Day. Good job, Bad Bunny. Good job, Lady Gaga.
Yeah, it was so good. Yeah.
I was talking to my friend Julie. I was like, it's sad that that was a moment of joy for all of us in a sea of despair. That was one moment where everybody was like, look, happiness.
Release happiness.
Joy.
Yeah.
Beauty.
Yeah.
And then Trump 14 minutes and then Donald Trump has to hop on and call.
And you're like, and we're back to reality.
Back to reality. He's over here bashing fucking Bad Bunny for being Latino, apparently. And then he's over here bashing the United States athletes and calling them losers for telling the truth about what's going on in this country. I was like, these are athletes that have actually won a medal, have actually done something well to win a medal, and you're bashing them.
Yeah, I'd like to see your fat ass try to get down a slope or do a triple pike or something.
Down a hill.
Yeah, down a little baby hill. The one that they teach the children how to ski in.
You barely walk in a straight line at this point. The syphilis is really rattling the brain.
A baby made him mad when he was a child, and he threw rocks at it.
That's every episode now. We got to figure out how to talk about Donald Trump throwing rocks at a baby.
Yeah.
God, I hate everything. All right. Well, any hot takes or headaches this week, Maria?
It's headache. People like Laura Loomer. Hot take, everybody should listen to Bad Bunny.
You don't even have to understand Spanish.
No, it was...
There's this racist lady on the internet I was going to war with last night. I'm like, bro, you don't even spell correctly in English. Why are you criticizing his Spanish?
If that just the music alone didn't make you want to dance,
Yeah,
you
just
don't
be
have a soul.
happy.
Yeah.
My hot take. The part in Milan where the little coffee things were dancing, the little espresso makers were dancing. God bless the Italians.
Yeah.
I was just like, you know what? You do no wrong. You booed JD Vance and you had espresso makers dancing.
Yeah.
Colorful
Yeah.
espresso makers.
Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah.
People...
No, it should have been American coffee that they should have had.
No, thank you.
And they had, and this is for all my Latinos out there, because the singer, Laura Pausini, she, like, every Latino knows her because she sings in Spanish other than Italian. And it was so cool to see her because we all grew up with her. Someone that was like, I'm going to learn another language and I'm going to sing in it. Laura Pausini.
Could we talk about the fact that Mariah Carey opened up the Olympics too?
I mean, she should open everything.
I was just like, okay, Italians, you like Mariah?
Look at the Italians having a woman from the United States on. Do I hear Italians going, oh, that's so terrible?
No, because it's Mariah fucking Carey.
It's Mariah Carey. Yeah. Fucking Americans. This is why people don't like us.
Anyways, well, it's been another fascinating week in the United States, everyone. Glad you could join us. Glad you could ride along on the journey with us.
What a sad journey. Yeah.
So take us out, Maria.
Well, it was another fun week. And in between, oh God, there's a picture of Donald Trump on MS now. That should come with a warning. Gross. We'll see what the next week brings. But in the meantime, in between time, make sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're tuning into. Share with your friends. And we will see you in the week after.
All right, everyone. Stay safe and sane. Don't do anything we wouldn't do.
Nope. Just go listen to Bad Bunny.
Have a good week, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye.